Hi, everyone. It's Amy Valdivia, and this is the Divorce Podcast, the baby of the Divorce Lending Association. Welcome. Today, we have Jamie Christensen. Hold on a minute. Let me tell you a little bit about Jamie before we jump into this interview, and she can share more. Jamie Christensen is a self-employed powerhouse of a woman. She is the owner of Fuse Associates, a marketing agency, and I met her at one of our networking groups. She is going to turn this podcast inside out because she is not only a businesswoman, she's a divorcing homeowner, or shall I say, divorced homeowner. And we met in this environment where it was 100% business. And we realized, hey, wait a minute, there's a different connection here. As we went through this process, there were so many things that opened up for the two of us where we realized this is the connection of women and empowerment. And I want her to share her story today. I will do very little talking because Jamie has amazing background in the whole divorce process. And I want her to give this bit of hope to some listeners out there. Thank you for being with us today, Miss Jamie.
Thank you, Amy. It's always so good to see you.
I'm just so grateful for you to be here today. Please tell everyone, who are you? Tell them about your business and your journey to that day that we decided we're going to work together.
Sure. Okay. Um, as you mentioned, my name's Jamie Christensen. I have owned Fuse Associates for 8 years now. I sit in Dallas, Texas, but have clients and employees across the nation. Um, Fuse really came out of my experience in corporate America of um, understanding that small businesses need strategic marketing, but they also need a lot of implementation. And what I experienced was that, where I come from, a strategy background, I can't give a marketing strategy to a business owner and expect them to be able to implement it themselves. Normally they have limited resources, one of those being mainly their time. They're trying to do too much and they need help. And so over the last 8 years, I've created an organization that not only provides marketing strategy at the right time for business owners, but then also we can implement it. So we really serve as our clients' long-term marketing partners. They come to us whether they need a brochure done or they need a full website or marketing strategy, whatever it is. Nothing's too small or too large for us to take on. And my resources are very flexible so that we can offer that to them. I like to talk personal more than business. That's more fun. And the biggest thing to know about me is, besides now that I'm divorced, is I am a very grateful dog mom to 3 rescues. And they are my everything. So I've been telling people lately I could drive a Lamborghini for what I spend on my dogs, but they bring me such joy. And through my life, especially my adult life and my marriage, my dogs were my emotional support. And so I give as much as I can to them.
They are children.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
So talk about divorce and how it impacted, well, when did it start, how it impacted your business, and then, like I said, that fateful day that we met.
Yeah. So it's been a little over a year ago that I left my now ex-husband in a very dramatic fashion. We were together 28 years. I started dating him when I was 18, had just gotten into college, and right after college, got married. We were married 24 years. To me, and how I grew up, marriage is forever, no matter what's happening. And over at least the last 5 years, I've had several support people, including my best friend and my psychiatrist, that had been preparing me for the day that I would finally figure out how to leave. And, Amy, you and I met, I don't even know, maybe January of last year.
That's probably, Honestly, I don't know the exact date, but okay, we'll call it January.
We met within a few months of me leaving,
Right.
and there was no or very little planning. There was about 10 days of planning for my actual leaving, and I knew when I left that I had to be the one to leave, and all communication had to be cut off.
Yeah.
And so I literally packed up my, at the time, 2 dogs and my car, and drove from Dallas to Florida, and texted him once I made it on the road to say that I had left. And um, there's no comparison to who I am now compared to who I was then, in a
That
very positive.
that phone call during that ride, the phone call is the first hurdle. The emotional workup, the actual action, and then you got to get ready for everything that's coming.
Mhm.
Then that was only step one, right? In that drive. Then step two is you've got many hours in front of you to plan. Okay, what do the next few months look like? Who am I going to call? How is this going to play out? Okay, so share with everybody step one, how that played out. And then I want to go to step two. But I want to hear what I want people to hear, especially women, to hear the story if you're willing to share what was the final catalyst to packing up and all that.
You know, there, it's hard to say what the final catalyst was. There were probably several. One thing that always sticks out to me, and it's important for everybody to understand this, is in a situation like mine, I couldn't figure out how I could leave with my dogs. And I was very fortunate, and I had to leave with my dogs. I couldn't have done it. I'm so blessed, that when it came time, and I called my mom probably 5 days before, and she knew the marriage wasn't good. Everyone knew. But I called her 5 days before and I said, I'm coming. And it took her about uh, maybe 2 minutes to say, okay, whatever you need. But the whole thing before, I had joked with her about, Mom, I want to come visit and I want to bring my dogs. And she'd always say, no, no, you're not bringing your dogs. They're too much. So that piece, I know that a lot of women won't leave because whether it's their children, I mean, that's a whole different world that I can't relate to, but it's also, can I take my pet? So, so that was one of the first things. I had also, I'm so fortunate that I had such a network. So when I was finally really starting to think, and there was a final vacation we took at the end of January, where I had told my best friend, this is the last time I'm going to try. I'm going to try to make it work. I'm going to try to talk to him. And I just couldn't. And it wasn't any better. But where was I going with this? Oh, at that point, when we got back from that vacation, I called the family law person that is in my networking group. She had always said anybody can call if they just want to talk and see what the process is. And I called her and said, okay, I think I need to do this. And so she was my starting point. But then throughout my network, I mean, within hours, I had my lawyer, I had Amy was already calling because I knew I wanted to keep my house. It was extremely important to me that I keep my house. I had my financial advisor. I had a business valuation person just in case, so that I was able to say, okay, what do I need to be thinking about? I know I had others. Who am I missing? Oh,
Well,
maybe a realtor,
insurance,
insurance.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was just like everyone came together around me to support me in however I needed it. You know, I had my psychiatrist, I had my business coach, like everybody just kind of swarmed around me. I had my team, who
Right.
my team had no notice. I called my assistant from the road and said, "Hey, figure things out for the week. I've just left."
Right. And now you're relocated into another state, doing business from this other place with your babies, because that truly is one of the first things that most moms think about their kids. And their kids can be their pets or both,
Yeah.
right? And then for so many women, and we've talked about this, how am I going to do it financially? How can I make all of this happen? In your particular case, it wasn't about, oh my gosh, I need support because I have no source of income. It wasn't like that. It was more for protection. And you needed to know, okay, what is my business worth? And now I need to arm up and prepare because there could be a battle over my business.
Yeah.
And you needed to keep the wheels turning, keep the
Yeah.
business going, and hopefully growing, right? In the middle of all this turmoil.
Yeah. And yes, all of those things, and figure out how to emotionally protect myself enough to keep things going, you know,
Right.
because it's absolutely distracting. And I lived with my mom for a good 3 months, which God bless her. And thank God we get along, but that was a lot for both of us. Um, but you know, when I got to the point, it didn't matter how I did it. It was just I have to do it and I'll figure it out.
So let me ask you right there, when you knew you had to do it, that was your choice. The way you planned that out during those 10 days. What is your best tidbit of advice that you would give to somebody who's sitting here listening to this going, I could be down this path?
The best advice I got, and we say I planned it, but I wasn't really there. I was desperate enough that there wasn't a lot of planning. You know, even to the point where, heck, I had a little bit of a list of things I needed to take for my dogs. But when I got to Florida, and this was, you know, March, I didn't have the right clothes. Like I had put the wildest, weirdest stuff in a bag. It just didn't, none of it mattered. But the best piece of advice I got through the whole process is don't try to plan. Go hour by hour, minute by minute. Only look at the step right in front of you, because otherwise you'll get overwhelmed and you'll freeze.
Gotcha. So that drive after you made the phone call, that was it. You just said, okay, let's get to work.
And I texted. I didn't even call.
Ah, okay.
I
And
didn't
that
even,
was enough.
I'm sorry, what was that?
That was enough.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't believe me, but yeah.
Right. But that was enough for legal purposes. That was enough in your mind. I think one thing that I want to share with women is this is about empowering yourself as you're going through,
Mhm.
right? And for you, that was enough.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Everybody's path is a little bit different. If this is what you want, make sure that it's truly deep in your heart what you really want, because there's a whole lot that comes after the fact.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely.
So share what happens. Now you're in Florida. Now you've got to set up shop on a desk in mom's house.
Mom's house. Yeah. Which I was already remote. So, you know, but yes, it was in mom's house, much smaller house with two dogs that are each the size of my mom. Um, yeah, you do what you have to do. That's,
Right.
you know, and I thought, and this is what gets back to don't try to plan. I thought I'd be gone 3 weeks, maybe, and that he would go back to where he was from. He's neither of us are from Dallas. I really thought I'd be gone 3 weeks. I was gone 7 months. And in those 7 months, I lived in 12 different places. Now, some of those were just a night at a time as I drove back and forth. But yeah, 7 months, 12 houses, but it didn't matter. The moment I was gone, I knew it was the right decision. And I don't know if this is the right time in the podcast or not to say this, but through that process, so in the last year, um, I lost 45 pounds. I doubled my business.
Wow.
I got another dog. I am my own homeowner for the first time ever. And I'm a completely different person.
Oh, absolutely. From the day I met you to today, and I think I even told you the last time I saw you, you look different.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, weight loss definitely helps individuals in their appearance. It wasn't even about that because I've only here's key, women out there who are listening. I have never met Jamie face to face. We have created this friendship and this bond over Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
You can see a person very differently on screen. You can
Absolutely.
see the transformation, and that it was the perfect time in the podcast for you to say that. There's something that happens when you know you're ready to go through this journey. Of course, nobody wants or wishes for divorce. That's not what you start a marriage for. However, there's health and well-being, and people need to live in a positive manner. It may not work out in some cases, and we know statistically it's proof. This is why we're on this podcast to begin with, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about your team. Let's talk about how you reel this in, because something people don't realize is we all take turns spending time with you, sometimes together, but most often at different points, different junctures of the divorce. Share a little bit about your journey.
As far as the team I had
Yes.
supporting me. Um, I mean, of course, Kimmy Wright, my
Right.
divorce attorney, was she was there
Right.
from day one helping me through that process. And thank God, there are women I know that will, or people, not just women, that will choose to not hire an attorney. That wasn't an option for me, but the way she thought of things compared to me, who is in a fog anyway, and, just dealing with all kinds of stuff. Yeah, having the right attorney that you click with, that, and not just attorney, actually, it's the whole team, making sure you have people around you that are similar enough to you. For me, that means no drama.
Right.
I don't want any drama.
Right.
Um, so, Amy, you don't do drama. So it's making sure all of those personalities really mesh. And I think even for the professionals that are listening to this, that support people going through divorce, making sure you're aligned and have similar values is really important, because yeah, on my side of the table, everything is a heightened response anyway, and very emotional. I don't tend to be an emotional person, but it's still, for me, more emotional than normal. So, making sure you align and have similar ways of communicating and working together is important. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and it's okay as a divorce professional if you don't fit. It's okay to say, you know what, maybe I need to refer you to someone else. Or, which we've had these conversations, hey, I know I have some meetings right now. Go ahead and communicate via email, and I will circle back. Let's make sure so and so is CC'd, and let's loop everybody else in so we're all on the same conversation string. I may not respond right away. However, one of the other teammates will. I think that is setting those expectations from both sides.
Absolutely.
There were times where you said, yeah, I'm offline. you could email me all day long and I'm not going to respond until late tonight or what have you. Okay, we just knew we needed to move according to each other's schedules. And that was something that I noticed when we were dealing with your financial advisor, even all the way at the very end.
Yeah. And that's, understanding each person's role on the divorce team. And there were times that it made a lot more sense, Amy, for you to talk directly with my attorney or my
Right.
financial advisor. I didn't need to be in the middle of it. And the more that, again, sitting in your shoes or someone listening to this podcast, the more that the professional can guide the person person getting divorced to understand, hey, I got you, and how that trust is developed, the easier it is on everybody.
Right.
Because I was in the middle of everything not only would I have not been thinking about everything like all of you do, but it would have slowed things down so much.
There was a moment where, let me clarify to everyone, Jamie had an attorney. Her attorney represented her in mediation. So there are multiple ways to get through mediation. Some end up in litigation, which she chose not to go down that path. She really wanted to go with mediation. Some go directly to litigation and never mediate. Some don't have attorneys. They just work with the mediator one-on-one because they feel that they can make that happen. Everybody's divorce is different. And the way you structure representation or not is important. So there was that moment. There's two instances that I want to talk about. That moment that you were in mediation. Share what that was like, because yours was very different compared to others.
Well, and you may have to jump into what
Yeah.
it was like. It was the most ridiculous thing ever, and the mediator was awful.
Go
Um,
ahead.
I try in all things to be very reasonable. The most unreasonable thing I've ever done is leaving my ex-husband like I did and texting. That's just, people don't do that. Yeah. But it was I don't know what happened, but I was attacked from the get-go from the mediator, from the very first moment we started mediation. And, I had been in a mediation before, not for divorce, and knew they were supposed to not be biased. And this person, it did not feel unbiased to me. So that's what sticks out to me, as well as it took almost 12 hours and all we got through were the finances. And according to my lawyer, who is also a mediator, the entire divorce and settling all property should have been able to be done in 4 hours.
Right.
So it was just awful. And at the end of the 12 hours, we ended up exactly where my attorney thought we would.
Right.
And I know on the other side of the table, much like my ex-husband, the person he had representing him does like drama, and that came out throughout the divorce. So, just differences. But yeah, when we were calling you, we were trying to go through numbers. He was trying to find every way possible to make it so I couldn't keep the house.
Let's paint this picture because the listeners need to hear this. You're in mediation. We're texting a bit because I'm not there. And there was that recess. And I remember saying, okay, I was in a meeting and I said, see ya. And pulling the laptop, I have my worksheets up. Kimmy has her worksheets up. And you're on the phone with all of us. The three of us are there and we're just going, can she do this? Yes, no, yes, no. It was very cut and dry. There was no story. There was no, how can we help? And no, oh no, we had no time because you had to go back in. You had to eat and get back in. And it was rush, rush, rush. And it was truly dollars and cents. What is it going to take for us to finalize? There was that moment where I don't remember the exact question, but Kimmy asked, if we if we gave him extra money, how does that impact her loan? Because we had gotten pre-qualified. And I remember saying, no, this is the max. This is it. And I thought for sure, oh my gosh, I just, I threw a whole wrench in this whole divorce, and now my heart is going out to you. She never flinched. Okay, were her response. And I thought, thank you. Thank God she is who she is, right? The strong divorce attorney representing you, because she had a solution, an alternative already in mind. She was just merely asking for, is this a solution? No, yes, no, yes, no. And that was it. That's how this whole thing played out.
Well, and from my perspective, so I was frozen.
Right.
Like I could not, I had been attacked for a few hours already.
Right.
Um, I shouldn't use the word should, but I should have anticipated that of course he's not going to want to make it any easier than he can. And he hears I want the house. Of course he's going to try to make it so I can't keep the house. But for you and Kimmy to be able to just talk, and I was there in presence,
Right.
but you two were throwing numbers back, and I just had to sit back and trust.
And then there's that moment where, okay, you get through that. Fast forward to now we're on the phone with your financial advisor.
Yeah.
And again, it was, what are we doing? Okay, this is the way we laid it out. This is what she agreed to in the divorce, because finally that marathon mediation was finalized. It was just a matter of signatures and now execution. We were in execution mode. And thank God for your advisor, because he said, okay, timing wise, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to straddle 23 and 24. So it will help her with taxes. That is a strategy that he brings to the table.
Mm-hmm.
I brought one solution. He brought a completely different solution. And it worked.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing to me, because I thought that's the creativity we want to
Yeah.
give. As having this divorce team, there was a moment where we talked about empowerment. Share your thoughts, because especially women who seem to be the victim in many cases, not all, but many, they don't have that moment that you had.
Which one?
Well, I'm referring to the time when you said, God, this is just so empowering.
Yeah. I
As
say
a
that.
mom.
I say that a lot. I changed my HVAC filters this weekend, and I was so excited to do it myself because, yeah. Um, it is taking control,
Right.
and it's which is something that I I had it in a lot of ways. And and my heart goes out to women that have never known what a budget was, or, don't know what their expenses are, or, whatever that looks like, or have let their husband make all the decisions. And that definitely wasn't me, but yet there was still a lot of control issues there. And one of the things that sticks out to me, and this I think is probably what you're talking about, um, the the refi process on my house went smoother than any mortgage process that I've previously gone through. And I realized, I was sitting there going, what's different about this? What is going on? I had an entire woman team, female team, not woman, female team. And I called you. I remember that. And I went, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this is what happens when women are helping each other.
Right.
We get crap done. I kind of want to say that word, but So we get it done. And it was so smooth. And, and yes, my accountant and my financial advisor are men and they're awesome. But yeah, it was pretty amazing and important for me.
Right.
It was important for me.
And that's another message I want listeners to hear. You can do this. You don't have to sit there and just accept somebody else's response as Bible. You get to make the choices.
Mhm.
And you get to have people around you that will help you and support you. You just have to ask. And it's quite uplifting and quite empowering when it's all said and done. I remember we thought, oh my gosh, that one evening, wow, like it really was. It was a whole group of women. And then going back full circle to the networking group, there's that moment where we talk and we share a little bit about what we did for each other, I should say.
Mhm.
And now we're sharing with the other ladies saying, let's all work together, right? And this is just how we make our businesses thrive.
Absolutely.
So post divorce, the label that I like to impose upon you is survivor.
Mm.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Mhm. Absolutely. And up until you showed up in my networking group on Zoom, I'd never heard of CDLP,
Mhm.
never heard of it. And I'm like, wow, I don't think I could have gotten this done. I don't think I could have gotten it done without having your knowledge, because how to you know what I'm dealing with. This is your specialty.
Yeah.
It's all, a big part of what you do. And I can't imagine working with a mortgage person that doesn't come at it with the same skill set and creativity. And then layer on, oh yeah, I'm a business owner.
Yeah.
That needs a really kind of creative solution to get that mortgage done. There's just a lot of moving pieces there, and it's really important. And I talk about it a lot now, because thank God for my networking group. I would have had no idea.
Yeah. A person who is not a business owner, a woman who is not a business owner, maybe she's a stay-at-home mom. What advice would you give her? Because she's not attending networking groups the way we are.
It's okay to be vulnerable.
Mm, nice. And in my mind, I'm saying reach out. It could be the other PTA moms.
Yeah.
Someone knows someone who knows someone.
Yeah. And something that's been very interesting to me that I never anticipated. I said there were two people that really knew I was going to leave, and that was my best friend and my psychiatrist. Um, I've had at least 5 women over the last year that from networking, um, that know somewhat. They knew I was going through a divorce. Some know more than others, but it's pretty normal to be like, huh, something's going on if all of a sudden Jamie's getting a divorce and she's sitting in Florida. But I've had 5 women that I didn't know well that have reached out to me and said, I need to talk to you. And I'm thinking about leaving. And I, I never personally could have done that, but I was so thankful that they trusted me enough to do that. And on the other side of it, yeah, find those people.
Yes. This is exactly why I wanted you to be here today. What?
They can call me. Call me.
And
Email
you know
me.
what? What a wonderful time for me to now say, how can people find you? Number
Yeah.
one, if they're business owners and they need your service, but even if they just want to talk about empowerment and divorce, how can they find you?
Yeah, you know what? All my information is on LinkedIn. I know this is posted on LinkedIn. And so my contact info right there, it's got my phone number, it's got my email. You can message me on LinkedIn. just put something in the subject line about this. But yeah, I'm always happy to talk and help others.
And it's Christensen, not O-N.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This has been amazing. Any parting words before we sign off?
Um, you've got more support out there than you think you do.
Mm.
And something we didn't talk about that I think is important that we've talked about before, Amy, is, you know, and this just reinforced why I left. When I think I had three phone conversations with my ex-husband after I left, and yeah, he asked me to come back, but there wasn't any, there was no love in that comment. But once I told him that I had gotten a lawyer, he said, well, you better be prepared because I'm going to take your business.
Mm.
And that didn't happen. But I know you and I've talked about that. You have to be prepared for all of that stuff. So for me, that's where the business valuation person came in. That's where my lawyer came in. That's where my accountant came in, all of that, just to make sure there were no issues. So you don't have to go through it alone. Surround yourself with a great team. If you think you've surrounded yourself with a great team and you get into it and somebody's not working, don't suffer. Switch them out. Thank God I didn't have to do that, but don't suffer. This takes a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of emotional toil. And again, I was much easier than people with children. So, there's so many factors. Make sure you're just surrounded with amazing people.
And that was key. As here, I'm thinking we're wrapping up and we're really not, because income is a big factor.
Yeah.
You had to protect your business, not just from, hey, this is my brand, this is my source of income. And he's asking for and wanting to take, and you're having to prepare yourself. Was there ever a moment where you had to think, maybe I need to reinvent Fuse? No,
Yeah.
you knew.
I knew because I'd done my homework. Now
Okay.
I'd quickly done my homework, and I have a finance background, so the finance piece of it is a lot easier for me than I think a lot of people. But no, I was confident in that piece of it.
Good. Very
Yeah.
good. Self-care.
Yes.
It isn't always about retail therapy, which we love to do, which you and I both, we know we enjoy it. However, it's not always the best approach.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Meditation, which is actually one of the ways that got me to leaving. I've been meditating for a few years. So meditation, conversations with friends. I was down in Florida with my mom and sister and my sister's family. That was it. And I'm a pretty social person that's used to being out and about. So, at least talking with friends, exercising, sleeping as I could, you know, some prescription drugs. It was whatever it took to support me so that I could function and survive through it.
I will add my 2 cents to that. At every meeting I saw you in attendance, hair was combed, makeup was on, clothes. You still have to get up and face the day. It may not be an enjoyable day, but you still got to keep yourself going, because if you just sit all day long, that's not going to help you move forward.
That's very true. And that I hadn't really thought about that because that's just my life. And frankly, I mean, that's what I had to do in the marriage too.
Right. Yeah.
But yes, that forward movement, just like you only plan an hour or a day in advance, just it truly is that one step in front of another.
Yeah. And you can heal. And you're
Yeah.
still healing.
Yeah.
You finalized in December?
Yep, right before Christmas.
Yeah, that was your Christmas present. I remember that text message. And we executed a month and a half later. And post-divorce, are you still seeking help from your psychiatrist?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I still have my whole team.
Wonderful.
My whole team, yes. And not only team, but friends and colleagues, because just like this. I wasn't willing to talk about it until everything was done. I have a couple other podcasts that they didn't get released until after this was final. So yeah, healing, but even more thriving.
Well, there's your mic drop moment. That's the way we're going to wrap up. That was amazing. There is happiness post-divorce.
Yeah.
Can thrive. And
Yes.
she is proof of that. Thank you so very much, Jamie. I truly appreciate this time, because this was not just about being a divorce professional like most podcasts. This was a completely different perspective. And I hope we helped somebody out there today.
I know we did.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Amy, so much for everything.
Always in support. Whatever you need, we're here. Thank you, everybody. I hope this was very helpful for you. And if you have questions, concerns, Jamie and I are both here to help. Please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.